What is up everyone, my name is Russ Fedorov. Today I'm going to be talking about how to make a night time lapse, because to be honest, when I was trying to learn how to do this, I was on YouTube and none of the videos were that informative, so I kind of had to learn on my own. But now that I know how to do it, I wanted to make that informative video and put it on YouTube for you guys to learn. But first I wanted to show a couple time lapses that I made, and then I'll talk about how I did that. So I hope you guys really liked those time lapses. I certainly did. If you guys didn't notice, I actually put a hyperlapse into that time lapse montage, and I have a really simple way of doing this. Like, that literally took me 2.5 minutes to film. So if you guys want like a separate video, please leave a comment below and just let me know if you guys want me to make a video like that. So back to the video. First thing I typically do is figure out what I'm gonna film and where I'm gonna film this. Normally when I'm looking for a location to film, I always look for movement. That's like the biggest thing for me, and I think it should be for anybody, because for a time lapse you have to have movement. If there's no movement, it just might as well be a picture at that point. For me, the main moving objects would be a bunch of cars driving by, like traffic. Foot traffic as well is really popular, just a bunch of people walking around back and forth. Those look really good. And nature is one of them as well. If you can get the clouds at night just rolling through the sky, that looks absolutely amazing. So I always try to keep this in mind when I'm trying to figure out a location. Typically really popular locations would be like going downtown. There's always a ton of traffic, especially around rush hour. You'll find a ton of cars and a ton of people always walking around downtown, so this is a really good time to go and do nighttime lapses. So make sure to keep that in mind. The second thing would be make sure to have a tripod. If you don't have a tripod, it's gonna be really difficult to get a good looking time lapse. So the next thing you would need is to get an intervalometer, and this basically just triggers the camera depending on what you set up for your settings, and it can take a picture say every 2 seconds or every 3 seconds. For me, I got lucky and my GH5 actually has this built in, which is awesome. I don't need any extra hardware to be able to do these time lapses, but these are actually pretty cheap. I'll leave a link in the description to some intervalometers on Amazon. So when you're out there and you're recording, you gotta make sure that all your settings are on manual. And this includes white balance, your focus, like everything, every single setting on your camera has to be on manual. I made the mistake of leaving my white balance on auto, and halfway through the video, the white balance just changes because it's automatically changing depending on the environment, and the whole color of the whole video will change just dramatically halfway through, which is really bad. And same thing with your aperture, your shutter speed. If it's changing throughout your video, throughout time, then it's just not gonna look very good. It's not gonna look consistent. So if you can keep it on manual, it'll be consistent throughout the entire time lapse, and it'll just make it that much better. So for the settings, I realized that shooting at a 1 second shutter is like perfect for night time lapses specifically. I actually tried shooting at 2 second shutter just to get as much motion blur as I can, but it kind of made the video look like it was going way too fast, as you can see in this clip, which I didn't really like. I like the 1 second shutter. It gives you just as much motion blur as you need, and it still makes the video look like it's the proper speed. So I really recommend just shooting at a 1 second shutter, and for the intervals, 2 seconds is like perfect. For my aperture, I actually really like shooting at a high aperture. Most people say go as low as you can to bring in as much light as possible. For me, I like shooting really high aperture just to get that star effect in every light source, as you can see in this clip. You won't get this kind of effect if you're shooting at a low aperture. For me, this was basically just an aesthetic choice. I really like the look of those stars in every light source, so I just decided to shoot it. It was actually kind of a bad idea for my camera, because my camera's not very good in low light, so I had to ramp up that ISO, and it kind of introduced some noise to my image, but I was willing to sacrifice that to get the specific aesthetic that I was going for. I hope this video was informative for you guys, and that's all I have for today. So make sure to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.